It expects that its sales growth and profit growth to slow down.
Changes for 007. James Bond producers are ceding control of the franchise from the Broccoli family to Amazon MGM Studios. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-962-2403. 800-962-2403. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-962-2403.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Good morning. This is Bill Krause on a cold Thursday morning in beautiful Rutherford County. We're going to have a rather different and a rather interesting and I think a rather unpredictable visit this morning because I am unpredictable of what we were going to hear, but I know the gentleman and he is an extraordinarily interesting, dynamic individual. And we're introducing him as Cool Hand Frank from Atlanta, Georgia. Good morning, Cool Hand.
Good morning, Bill. How are you today?
I am fine. Is it as cool in Atlanta as it is cold in Middle Tennessee?
We got flurries.
Pardon?
We got snow flurries. It's happening.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I'm looking out my window right now, and there they are, dancing away.
Wow, well, that's even more than we have. So, tell us about Cool Hand Frank. Little background and how you got that tag and what it means.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you asked. The Cool Hand Frank is, I see as the future of online publishing. I think that times are changing much faster than anybody is predicting, and I think there is going to be an increasingly important need to be able to own your own digital presence. I think that's going to be vital, and I want to also provide a platform for a sense of community among artists, other writers, to be able to put out to be able to help make them shine. I don't think that anything operates in a vacuum, and so collaboration is a big focus on what I'm trying to achieve. How I came up with Cool Hand Frank? Well, I'm naturally a writer. My writing is my one talent that I was God given, and the old song, you can't take that away from me. So,
what? Give us some detail of what kind of writing: fiction, nonfiction, creative science, mystery, a little of all.
A little bit of everything. I do have some predilections towards poetry as more of a casual, but I do a lot of I like writing a lot of nonfiction essay and commentary. I also am in the process of writing a little bit of fiction here and there, but they're a little bit more. One of them in particular is arguably the most popular standard read for the week, and it's called 100 Words. It's a serialized story, almost like a comic strip. I like it. I like it too. Like when you would look in the newspapers of old and have and you'd see this 4-panel, maybe 3-panel comic strips there. It's like that, but in written form, and not as melodramatic, but there's a hook and never at the. Basically not to spoil it, but it's about not to spoil it, but the character, the main character, he is not necessarily.
He's a lawyer, huh?
Yes, he is. But
criminal or civil?
Civil, but he's going to find pretty quickly that in this, I'm about a quarter. The goal is to have 100 chapters, if you will, so 100 weeks, and we're about to hit the quarter point where if you look at a movie, and around that first half hour, something big happens.
Okay.
And
is this online or on your platform?
It is online. It is online on the publication.
People access.
I'm glad you asked on that too. Well, first of all, you just go to coolhandfrank.com.
Okay.
Real simple, real easy to remember. You'll land on the visitor page, and so that way you can get you can see what it's about. You get some free samples, just like you would at the supermarket, and then there's a couple buttons there to subscribe. And when you subscribe, it and the pricing for both. I mean, it's $2.99 a month right now, and
$2.99.
Yeah, $11.99 for the year. So if you think about it, you're getting entertained for a year for the price of pretty much less than a 6-pack in 2025. So it's a bargain, and when you go on in there, you see a lot more stories in there. It's updated weekly, and the reads are and I keep the stories and the stories all purposely brief, because the reality is everybody's bombarded by content overload, advertising overload, marketing overload. The moment you wake up, it's overload, and I want. And I had to ask myself, how do I rectify? Not rectify. Rectify. How do I reconcile my own talents, what I do best, with the culture that we live in now? Mm-hmm. And I felt like I felt, and I still feel confidently that I've cracked the code. And so I keep all of the stories brief, so that way I like to say it's the best read. It's the best read. It's like the Reader's Digest for those who need to use the bathroom.
Let's go back a little bit. Tell us about where Cool Frank, the real Cool Frank, the father of Cool Frank, was born and raised. And a little bit of background, if you would like to share, of who the writer is and what led you to this point, what created the ignition of interest and ignition of creativity for this project, and what other areas of print or areas of writing have you been involved in? So just kind of a whole autobiography.
Okay, yeah, this is going to be an epic journey, but I'll try to keep the epic journey lean and mean.
Okay.
Originally I'm near Philadelphia.
Oh, okay, northern going to the south.
Yep. Back in the originally from near Philadelphia, and I grew up there for the first several years of my life. And my father.
You're an Eagles fan? I'm
not a big NFL fan in general, but I always watch the Super Bowl. Needless to say, I am pretty happy that the Eagles did win. Gotcha. I do like the Chiefs. The Chiefs just have some individual talent, but frankly, in terms of a team, itself, there was no question in my mind that the Eagles were the tighter team, and you can have some great. You sure you got Mahomes and Kelsey on the Chiefs, but just because it's not enough, the individuality is not enough to make up for the rest of the team. And the Eagles, just as a team, were just was just an army. They're savages. If you know Philadelphia culture, this all checks out. So I was really glad to see the Eagles win.
But there's great food in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and the one rule that I get the biggest kick out of is when you meet someone who's originally from Philly or who currently lives in Philly, always ask them what their favorite cheesesteak is. Ask them specifically. Go, what's your favorite cheese? Which one is your favorite? Makes your favorite cheesesteak, Pat's or Geno's? Mm-hmm. And they're going to tell you neither. And
have you ever found?
And they're going to tell you the one that they like.
Have you ever found one in Atlanta that will compare?
Oh no! I mean, Woody's cheesesteaks in Atlanta is probably the closest. Over right near Piedmont Park, off Monroe. It's a good cheesesteak place. I don't get to go there enough, but they do a good job. It's not the same as Philly though. Philly, sure. They got magic going when it comes to their food, and they're and while Atlanta may be a little bit more restaurant savvy, no doubt in my mind, Philadelphia is more food obsessive.
Exactly. Although we would probably say here in the Nashville, Middle Tennessee area, it's coming of its own as being a great cuisine choice and cuisine enjoyment.
For sure.
Now,
for sure. You got hot chicken. I was at Prince's
hot wings
a few months ago.
Now, carry us through from Philly was it directly to Atlanta, or did you make some bypass?
There was one bypass. The layover between Philly and Atlanta was near Portland, Oregon, and I was there for a year. Quite the bypass.
Made a wrong turn on the interstate and just kept going.
It was pretty much, but actually. And there were, there were a couple of difficulties here and there in the past of being near Portland, but the reality was that overall the experience was fantastic, and it was like I remember being in first through third grade and. And I was looking at girls back then, and when I was there at the end of third grade, I was like, wow, this is a different world. I'm like, what's going on here? And
from Philly to Portland, yep.
Yeah, and then there was one or two. Actually, there were several gals, but one gal in particular that really was like kind of shaped. The type of woman who I'm into now.
Well, we're on radio and we have to be good. So
well, I respect that. I was in fourth grade. Of course, I was good then.
All right.
But
so no, you went from Portland to Atlanta.
I did, yeah, after a year, and it was. And then been all around Atlanta for the most part, with the exception of like I currently live in a town called Woodstock, which is 30 minutes directly north of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And then but I've also lived in Atlanta proper, Sandy Springs, Marietta. I grew up in Marietta primarily. And then, of course, I went to the University of Georgia. Go Dogs! And I'm also glad to see that University of Tennessee has really picked up their football game. It's nice to see that. And so Athens was a great experience, and then now I'm living in Woodstock. It's a growing city. It's a small city, but it's considered one of the safest in the nation, and certainly I think the third safest in some publications, and then one publication recently said it was the third safest in Georgia, but I actually think it may be. It's really great, and it's just it was an incredible move for me to be here. I'm really lucky to be where I'm at.
And you basically are a writer. Is this a good definition? So
yeah, I'd say so. That's probably the. All my roots are there. All my roots are in writing. I worked in video production and post production in a few decades ago, and then although it's still weird to say decades, but it's true. And then I segued into marketing, and I was doing marketing for many years, and I did when I was working. Okay. The volatility of especially over the last the volatility since the recession has been tough, and that I didn't like.
Through COVID as well.
The crazy thing is that I actually did fine during the COVID.
Did you?
Eric? Yeah, ironic. I was doing a lot of remote work. I was working 4 days a week in the office, one day of the week at home or in a coffee shop, and or the bar occasionally, which was always, I was like, well, let's change this up a little. And and I found that and then it was a natural and I was working in webinar technology. So it was a natural transition to go remotely, and I did fine on that. There's definitely some weaknesses to it. It's like just like anything in life. You got there's some things there's pros and cons to pretty much just about everything, strengths and weaknesses, etc. There's no getting around that.
What motivated you to create this new character as a product of Cool Hand? Right.
Yeah, well, it was a couple things. I've wanted to kind of really charge back into writing for the pure pleasure of it all. Writing, though, in my mind, it's not as fun if you're just writing it for yourself in like in a diary or a journal. It is. Not that I don't recommend those tools, but ultimately, who's your audience? And when you're writing, you're writing for it to be shared. Exactly. And so even if it's a diary or journal, there is that. I suspect anybody who writes it even knows secretly harbor in their head that someone discovers them, finds it out.
Exactly.
Maybe kids, that sort of thing.
We're going to need to take a break to pay some bills. So what I'd like to ask you when we come back is walk us through from the first time when you created the quote, I think, the product of what we're going to be talking about much of the rest of the day, the rest of the hour. So
that sounds great.
Stand by. We'll have a few words from our commercials, our sponsors, and we shall return.
Chip Walters here with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. I was named a top 10 agent in the #1 Exit Realty office in America in 2021. The top question I get around town, how's the market? Good question. And the answer's changed a few times this year alone. I'd like to know what you've heard and share some solid data we have. Give me a call and let's have a cup of coffee and take a look at what's happening in your neighborhood. All my contact info is right on my website, choosechip.net. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
Life's too short to stress about insurance. That's why Ray Call at Rayburn Insurance is here to make sure you have the right coverage without all the hassle. He'll work hard to provide you with personalized service and finding the best solutions for you and your family. Whether you're looking for auto, home, or business insurance, Rick Hall's got you covered. Rick Hall at Rayburn Insurance Agency. Let him handle the details so you can focus on what really matters.
Murfreesboro firefighters are going door to door to ensure that everyone is counted in the special census. Every resident means more funding for roads, schools, and emergency services. Up to $3.5 million more each year. So don't wait. Fill out the mailer you received or visit murfreesborocensus.com. That's murfreesborocensus.com. Every name matters, including yours. Help us help Murfreesboro. Fill out your special census form today. murfreesborocensus.com.
As a leader in environmental services, sustainability is deeply integrated into our business model. At Middle Point Landfill, we are environmentalists at heart. We use a cutting-edge technology in combination with our deep experience in recycling and waste services to protect our environment and our neighbors. That's our job, and that's our promise. This is Mike Klassen with Middle Point Landfill. We invite you to learn more about us at middlepointlandfill.com. For public services, we are sustainability in action.
Colorectal cancer is the leading cancer killer in men under 50 and the second leading cause of cancer death for women under 50. The American College of Radiology urges you to get screened starting at age 45. Now, Medicare and insurance companies are required to cover not only colonoscopy, but less invasive exams like virtual colonoscopy. Talk to your doctor about your options. For more information on virtual colonoscopy, visit radiologyinfo.org/virtualct.
Furnished by American College of Radiology.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
I've got pets. AmeriCare Services Incorporated, family-owned and operated. For residential and commercial customers, we offer a full range of services. Our services include one-time, monthly, and quarterly pest control, termite control, moisture and fungus control, automatic foundation vents, and more. Licensed, insured, and bonded for your protection. 893-7111.
All the best of the best to get rid of your pest.
AmeriCare Services Incorporated.
WGNS encourages you to shop local. Let's patronize those local family businesses. Also, we encourage you to give the gift of life. You know, the Red Cross is critically low on blood. So call the Red Cross at 800-RED-CROSS and make an appointment to give the gift of life at a time that fits your schedule. Well, you've heard us talking about Greenhouse Ministries, and one of the things they need, volunteers. They have a volunteer orientation every Thursday morning at 10. That's at Greenhouse Ministries, 307 South Academy Street. We Remember You. That's a dementia support group, and they meet on the second Tuesday of each month at 4 o'clock over at the Villages of Murfreesboro. We Remember You. You need to check it out. That's over near the Avenue. Don't throw away Old Glory. Bring your tattered American flag to WGNS and let the girls from BSA Troop 2019 at Trinity United Methodist Church retire it with dignity. Plus, we also recycle Bibles. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
A cold weather advisory is in effect tonight. A blend of clouds and some sunshine develops this afternoon with a high in the mid-20s. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy, low of 8 above. I'm Laura Lockwood on News Radio WGNS. Right now, 15.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE Sharing Change is funded by members who round up their electric bills to the nearest dollar each month as a donation and support hundreds of local nonprofits. Find out more at sharingchange.org.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
This is Bill Krause back at the wonderful WGNS Radio Roundtable. And we may have some technical issues because I'm having problems with my phone. I'm one of those who's staying at home because of the weather, and normally I'm at the studio, so please bear with me. What I'm going to have is our guests do most of the talking, so if I'm low volume, I'm going to minimize my conversation on the air. We're meeting with a Renaissance gentleman, is the best way I can describe him, who started out in Philadelphia, went to Portland, Oregon, and then came to Atlanta. Basically a writer, basically a marketer, basically a communicator, but I best call him a Renaissance man in 2025. And he's known to us all as Cool Hand Frank. Welcome back, Cool Hand.
Thanks, Bill. I'm not used to hearing the word Renaissance man in front of my name, but I'm grateful.
Absolutely. So I'm going to let you do as much talking as you can, since I've got a effort that's going to be somewhat difficult to be able to be heard loudly and clearly.
Right. Now, if I could fix my washing machine all by myself, then I think I would be a true Renaissance man.
Well, then we'd call you an agitator.
That's really good. Both might be both might be a reasonable adjective.
Walk us through on your product right now, and again, we give to our radio audience how they reach you, how they contact you, and really go into detailed description of it.
Sure. Well, Cool Hand Frank is it's an online publication. It is not a blog. It is not a magazine. I see it as the future of the future of it's the first, I think, one of the first, I think, post-social media platforms, for lack of a better term. I think the times are changing very quickly, and while when you subscribe, it is a subscription-based platform. I do give some free samples out up front on the visitor page. But when you subscribe to Cool Hand Frank, you get a wealth of all sorts of brief but engaging stories, nonfiction, fiction, poetry. You get food and drink tips. You get recommendations on movies, TVs, apps. In music, you also get I always do a monthly shout out for a nonprofit that I want to spotlight. This month we're spotlighting Leukemia and Lymphoma Society for their work. There's also a big emphasis on curated art. I've got several contributing artists that provide their work and that complement the stories, and in return they get their own. There's a special artist gallery section on the site, and they each get their own special gallery, personal gallery on there, so that really highlights the artists themselves. And when someone wants to buy something from them, rather than being buffeted by advertising, they can buy directly from the artist off their portfolio or platform. So
a great variety of choice.
Yes, and everything is brief and succinct, but chock full of information, and it's meant to be a light read. As the Reader's Digest for those who are just go. They're taking a bathroom break. They're taking a break from their work on the laptop. They just want to read something for a minute or two. They'll read it. They can go back and read again, and it gets updated weekly with more material. Since January, I've taken on a couple contributing writers. About to take on a few more. The platform's becoming more robust, which is a great thing, and we're growing rapidly too. So I'm a real happy camper.
What would be the advantages now when you refer to source and information? Are you basically talking within the greater Atlanta area? And what would be the benefit of somebody in Middle Tennessee, Nashville, Rutherford County?
Absolutely. I've actually got a subscriber from Brazil.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so as far as Brazil, just recently gained a subscriber from California. So yeah, and the content. I mean, the content. I do think there is a little bit of think local, act global, but the vast majority of content is very much relatable wherever you are. So I think that's something I think that tends to prove pretty valuable.
One more time, how do they access?
Just go to coolhandfrank.com.
Easily. And when they get there?
When you get there, you'll land on the visitor page. You'll see what it's about. You'll get an introduction of what it's about. You'll get some free samples of what to expect when you actually become a subscriber. And then and if you like it, you enjoy it, click the subscribe button. The cost is $2.99 a month. For if I recall correctly, for the $2.99 a month for the monthly subscription, and $11.99 for an annual subscription. So the annual subscription in particular is a bargain. I mean, it's less than the price of a 6-pack nowadays,
or a good sandwich.
Heck, I went to McDonald's recently, and it cost me $12 to get a Big Mac, small fries, and a milkshake.
One of the many
lasts you a whole year.
Yes, one of the many hats you wear. And talk about this and how you became involved in it, because this has a direct impact in Middle Tennessee. Is you are the vice president, member, and a board director of Carnegie Writers Group, which has a group in Atlanta, 2 in the Middle Tennessee area, and 1 in Memphis, Tennessee. So how did you get involved? What is Carnegie Writers to the listener? And talk about it for a little bit.
Sure. Carnegie Writers I've been involved with since the fall of 2018. They were looking for somebody to Kemi Elafid, who is the founder and president of Carnegie Writers. She was looking for someone to help with some administrative help, and just assistance, in particular with the upcoming at the time the upcoming Metro Atlanta location, which we base in Alpharetta at Alpharetta Library, and which is probably, I'd be shocked if it wasn't the second fastest growing city in Atlanta.
And one of the most beautiful.
It's really something special, and the amount of growth that's happened there in the last 15 years has been staggering. No other way to put it, and it's pretty much like the little brother of Atlanta at this point. And so I got involved first initially as just an attendee, quickly became and to be able to help Kemi out, and then I found them through Volunteer Match. I was looking to do some volunteer work, and this was going to be a good way to, I can do some writing too. This is cool. And so got involved with them, became a moderator of their writing workshops in early 2019. I would say it was about spring of 2019, and then at that point, by end of 2019, I mean, I was growing the attendance like crazy, and our database like crazy. So we ended up around, I believe it was near the end of 2019, maybe the very beginning of 2020, when Kemi asked if I wanted to be the vice president of the organization. So things happened really super quickly, and of course COVID hit in 2020. We had to shift from on-site to working remotely, and that actually was a fantastic. What was a tough scenario, we turned to our advantage, the lemon to lemonade, and we grew our database substantially over the 2020 and 2021, as well as attendance, and then it pretty much leveled off over the last few years in terms of attendance as people settled down and got used to things. But then, lo and behold, we experimented with going back to doing on-site in 2022. It was definitely what one would call a fiasco. People just weren't ready for that yet. But we fast forward to just literally this past Saturday, and we actually had the best registration and the best attendance we've had since 2020 or early 2021 at latest. Very happy with the outcome, and we're making some fundamental changes for growth in the organization, but it takes time. You know, you can't just rush into it. We got to make sure we're properly prepared for it. But I suspect by the end of this year, if not certainly the beginning of January of 2026, we're going to become a much bigger organization than we are now.
And
we're definitely primed.
Who are the people that are the participants? Age, demographics, and so forth. Everybody, all people, some people.
Lots of the demographics, I would say we're probably looking about 70 to 80% female, 20 to 30% male. We have a variety of races. I'd say it's almost even distribution among all the major racial groups, which is terrific. And then we're not just and for the remote, whenever we're remote, only half of, like, say, the Atlanta workshop are actually living in Metro Atlanta.
Wow.
And then the rest are usually national. I've seen it go New York. We got somebody who comes in from Alaska all the time. it's even occasionally international. There's usually about one person on there each time. That's either in a foreign country. That's either just they're just visiting there, or they actually live there. This time, in fact, this past workshop where we had met on site and we also had a remote capability, we had an attendee who was they were just visiting Sydney, Australia, but they were streaming online from there.
Wow. And all that too. I have to acknowledge that I am one of the mentors as well, both mentoring at the Green Hills Library in Nashville and the Madison Library north of Nashville. And the demographics, as you mentioned, I'm particularly interested in the age level, because we've had as young as high school students attend, not only with their parents, but with themselves, and seniors. And there's a great number of people, this is most interesting to me, who want to write, and they want to write tributes to their family, primarily their late mother or their late father or grandparents. So they want to know how best to write tributes in terms of nonfiction that can be passed down to generations.
I've seen quite a bit of that. I've also, in fact, one of our attendees, in fact, in a scenario like that, it often results in self-publishing as opposed to traditional publishing. And I actually have one of our attendees' books I'm looking at it right now on my bookshelf that he wrote, and I read it, and it was lovely. And it was exactly that. It was the story of his life, and that and he's able to not only pass it down to his children and grandchildren, but also make it available on at many booksellers, including Amazon, and I'm not sure if it's at Barnes & Noble, but I know it's certainly at Amazon and some other smaller booksellers.
And I know we meet Green Hills and Madison once a month. Green Hills is on the third Saturday of the month as a rule, and the Madison is on the third Sunday of the month, although our next meeting is this upcoming Sunday, 2:30 to 4:30. And it's a phenomenal opportunity for people not only who like to write, but like to think and be creative. And that's the whole purpose. Think and be creative.
Absolutely. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, too, that the online workshops that Atlanta and Memphis has, if you want even more activity and you want more engagement, you don't have to live in Atlanta or Memphis to be able to register for those remote workshops. You can even register via Eventbrite for the Atlanta or Memphis workshops, and we'll take you on in. So if you're
hold that thought, Cool Hand, hold the thought and bring it back, because we've got to pay some more bills. Here's a commercial break.
First Shot, growing in Christ with life and athletic skills.
So we teach God's Word at everything we do to implant it in them so that they understand that the only way to get through the world is with God on their side.
First Shot founder and executive director Andy Herzer.
Our focus is on our inner city here at Patterson Park.
From academics to athletics, First Shot's focus is toward building a stronger, more courageous spirit to face opportunities and obstacles that our youth confront every day. To find out more about First Shot, go to firstshottn.org.
All right, guys, if you're only middle-aged but wondering why it seems harder to keep up, you're not alone. It may be caused by low testosterone. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, can help you get back to your best. But not just any TRT, not those websites offering only basic treatments. You have to see the provider specialist at Low T Center. They offer advanced personalized treatments with over a decade of experience. At Low T Center, you'll start with a simple test and get your results in about 25 minutes. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
This is a paid legal ad.
Hi, this is John Day of the Law Offices of John Day.
For more than 30 years, my team and I have worked hard to help injured people throughout Middle Tennessee. Over that time, we've helped thousands of people get the legal help they need when they've needed it the most. And if we're not able to help or aren't the right lawyer for you, we'll do the best to point you in the right direction. If you've been injured, call the law offices of John Day for a free consultation. And remember, there's no fee unless we win your case.
Premier 6 Theater on Broad in Jackson Heights.
Let's all go to the movies.
Check out what's showing at murfreesboromovies.com. Popcorn popped fresh daily.
Movies of the good old famous days.
Premier 6 on Broad in Jackson Heights.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
It's the Bill Krause on the third and final segment of the WGNS Thursday edition Roundtable. And we're having a really interesting visit and conversation with a gentleman. I won't only call him a Renaissance man. I'll call him a man who is creativity with a capital C, innovative with a capital I, and motivating with a capital M. And he lives in Atlanta, Georgia. He's calling from where snow flurries are there. I don't think we've had any in Rutherford County this morning, but it certainly feels cold. I think the last reading I had was 13, 14 degrees. So Cool Hand Frank, as he wants to be known, you were talking a little bit about how people contact and make arrangements to go online wherever they may be with the Carnegie Writers Group.
Correct. And all they need to do to be able, I obviously encourage those in Nashville to attend on-site at Green Hills and Madison. They're wonderful chapters. They're long established. You're going to meet a lot of great creative writers there. And there's a strong sense of community that you'll find among your peers if you're a writer. That said, also, Memphis and Atlanta both offer online creative writing workshops, and with that, you don't necessarily have to live in Atlanta or Memphis to participate. So if you want even more creative writing activity, if you want more collaboration, if you want more engagement with your writing peers, I encourage you to go to Eventbrite, look up Carnegie Writers for Atlanta or Memphis, and to register for the workshops there. We'd love to have you on either of those. It's after all, it's as I mentioned earlier, half our of Atlanta's audience is outside of Atlanta. Most of them national, but even the occasional international attendee too.
If you were writing the great American novel now, I'm going to now really let your creative juices flow. If you were writing the great American novel, what would you tackle? What would you attempt to write? Maybe fiction or nonfiction, would it be? Would it be a particular message that you'd like to reach out to? Would you want to reach out to young people, seniors who you want to give hope and optimism to? How would you sit down and think, I'm going to write the great American novel?
Well, the crazy thing is, I look at Cool Hand Frank as the great American novel.
All right.
The one thing I've learned about myself is that I don't have patience is one of my. There's some things. Patience is my biggest strength and my biggest weakness, and I really tend to lack patience when it comes to myself and my own writing. I think that times are changing, and for anyone who can write a book, kudos to them, because I know how difficult it can be. To get a book even published is even more difficult. So I have all the respect in the world for people to do that. For Cool Hand Frank, but I think in the 21st century, we have more formats than ever that we can use to be able to communicate our story, and how people consume creative writing or the great American novel is transforming. It's transforming. It doesn't mean it's negating. It just means it's offering more options to be able to absorb that information. And so I believe Cool Hand Frank is paving that way as ultimately fast forward 10, 20 years, 30 years down the line, that it'll be a total repository of what life and living was then and is now, and where it's going, and that for me, I think, and it's even though it seems a little bit more abstract in that way, I think the way that how readers absorb information from different sources, I think the painting itself will come together nicely.
And if you were now sending a message out to people who said, I could never write, I'm not a writer, I'm not creative, how would you tell a person who may potentially have creative juice in their veins and tell them, this would be a first step? Sit down, talk about it. Do you want to write something that's passed down to your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren? I even have suggested in our groups, I said, do you know how to write a personalized note, a letter to a family who just lost a loved one? Not just, I feel your pain or, sympathy and condolences. Could you write something to a person who just lost a significant loved one? And how would you create it?
Well, I think that's a beautiful question, and I have had several people come up to me and say, "Well, I'm not a writer. I don't know how." Anybody and everybody can write. It is a matter of just actually doing it and writing it with your own unique, distinctive point of view, and whatever format you prefer. It like, for example, I love writing nonfiction, a little bit of fiction, poetry. I would probably be no good at writing a full traditional book and writing screenplays. I would probably be decent. I wouldn't be great. There's all sorts of ways you can write nowadays. I just encourage just to channel that energy and to just sit down and just write it. And if you feel like, well, I'm a technical, I hear sometimes, well, I'm a technical writer. I'm not really a creative writer. I write, I do email correspondence. Fine. Create something out of that, and don't belittle your own skill set, or say, "Oh, I can't do it because I only do." The key is to figure out what format you enjoy writing, and then just do it, and also to have appreciation for those constraints. Not much like I said earlier, that I don't have the patience or the long-term focus to be able to write a full-fledged book. I'm not averse to eventually maybe publishing a book that's a compilation of essays. That's and poetry. That's not a problem. I'm sure well, I do have in mind eventually a book of annual Christmas poems.
Wow.
That's going to be illustrated, right? I've been writing an annual Christmas poem every year for almost 30 years.
Wow.
So appreciate your constraints and disregard them in your push to write in the format that you prefer and with your own point of view, and the rest will come together.
And you hit it so close as we're going to bring this to a close. Learn, practice, enhance your writing, readable, motivating, saleable emails. Make emails not just like an old telegram. We'll be there. Stop. 3:00. Stop. No, be creative on your emails so people enjoy hearing from you. We have thoroughly enjoyed our visit today with a gentleman who goes under the tag of Cool Hand Frank. And Frank has many hats, primarily in the motivating and creativity world. And we certainly hope you all enjoyed this. Frank, thank you for sparing your time. Is the snowflakes still dropping there?
Not as many as there were earlier, but I still see a couple. So it's getting sunnier. So I'm starting to think that it may be dialing down a bit. But that said, I just want to mention that if anyone wants to to find out what Cool Hand Frank is about, just visit coolhandfrank.com. I am actively seeking contributing writers, and more importantly, I'm actively seeking subscribers.
Keep up the great work. Have a wonderful day. Be the inspiration you are, and we appreciate you joining us on the WGNS Roundtable.
Thank you, Bill. It's been my pleasure.
See you next time. Bye.